Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Atai, and such a pleasure to be here once again. This is the Good Morning Education Show. We're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and the entire world. And we always have a great time on the show because we learn together, we share together, and of course, we grow together. And today is not going to be a different day. We're going to learn together. We're going to have fantastic conversation, and trust me, we are going to have someone special, someone going to join us today, all the way from the United Kingdom. And she's going to be sharing a perspective with us today. She's ready for us, she's raving and getting set. And I'm going to bring that up shortly. But as we do on the show, we tell everyone to share and tell others to join the show. This is Good Morning Education Show. And of course, please feel free to tell us your name and location where you're streaming from. And don't forget to also make your contributions. If you have questions, please shoot us your questions. Our guests will be willing to answer. And of course, we're going to have a great time on the show. Because of the show today, we will not spend so much time on the headlines. As usual, we have the headlines within and around the world of education, headlines around businesses and all that. But today, we want to focus on being intentional. And the topic that we're going to be having, of course, is also talking about living intentionally. And I know that if many of you would have actually thought about it, if we want to stay limitless as individuals, as collectives, as professionals, as career professionals, whatever sector you represent, you need to understand that this is a very critical topic that you will get value from. And so, without wasting much time, are you ready, ladies and gentlemen, as I bring on my guest? Drum rolls, everyone. And presenting the one and only Nkyoka. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you
Fantastic.
for having
Awesome.
me on your show this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the show. Looking good, like your glasses.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right. Okay, so I've introduced the conversation of today to our guests. I mean our audience, and we're talking about living intentionally. I'm sure a lot of people have questions, and I have questions. But before we get into the issue of asking questions like that, let's set up a foundation on the conversation, because sometimes topics like this can swing in different direction. I want you to just help the audience out there to understand what exactly would you describe in your own words as living intentionally? What does it mean to anyone out there who is listening to us? What do you consider as living intentionally?
Thank you. I think for me as a person going through life every day, making choices, taking decisions, facing challenges, living intentionally for me is really being in constant communication with myself, being in a state where I'm self aware. I understand what is working, I understand what is not working. I understand where I need to make adjustments to my life. I understand how I can learn from mistakes that have happened or I've made in my life. And really ensuring that every day that I'm alive, I'm awake, I'm living different, better than my yesterday. So it's really being self aware and making adjustments as much as possible so that every single day that you live is much better than the previous day.
Fantastic. I like that. And but I would like to ask you, you said something about living and being self-aware. Now, permit me to ask this question. So is it possible that now everybody lives, of course, once you're alive, are you not being self-aware, or does it take something extra to be self-aware? I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I have my bath, go to work and all that. Is that not being self-aware?
No. So I would think it that we live in a world that is full of distractions and noise everywhere. Sometimes it takes some level of quietness within you for you to be self aware, i.e., what do I really like? A lot of times we like what we like because media has pushed that to our face. We like fizzy drinks because the marketing brands have made it attractive for us. We like Fit Farm because it's trending. We like fashionable items because it's in vogue. But if you sit down and you ask yourself these questions in the quietness or in the stillness of your mind, what do I really like? What would I really enjoy doing? Would I really enjoy football instead of volleyball? But volleyball is trending. What would I really like? So for me, the question is, what am I doing for myself that I'm deciding to do, regardless of the noise and the distraction around me? We don't really have the time sometimes to be still or to be quiet in our minds for us to think or make those decisions. And so a lot of times it's really hard. So those things, waking up, brushing your teeth, going to work, it's just what people do every day. It doesn't mean that you're self aware.
Wow, that's deep, you know. So that means that we all need to find that, you said, that quietness or stillness that
Yes,
provides opportunity to reflect. Now,
yes.
what about if my work is just so demanding? I live in a metropolis, and you know how it is sometimes in this part of the world. Some people actually don't have the luxury of, you know, sleeping as much as they would love to. Before you know it, they're up and about, and it's almost like the same cycle. It's also almost like a regimented routine.
Mm.
So how does that mean those kind of people are actually signaled out of being able to live intentionally?
I think, again, we have to decide what works for everyone. And I mean, each individual have to sit down and decide what works for you. COVID came and showed us that it is possible to not go to work and still be alive. COVID showed us that it is possible to get to the office late and the building will not collapse. COVID showed us that it's possible to achieve certain KPIs without having to enter Lagos traffic for 5 hours because we were able to innovate, we were able to make amends, we were able to make adjustments. And COVID made us realize that we can actually be more intentional with our lives. A lot of people realize that, oh my God, I have the capacity to actually do two jobs. I have the capacity to actually work three jobs. Before COVID, we didn't see all these possibilities, or even if they were there, we were really in tune to understand how we can work. So um, I think living or working in the metropolis will not be an excuse. I always say to people, nobody is indispensable in any organization. So if anything happens to you, trust me, they will replace you very quickly. So be so skillful that you can control your time, i.e., you wake up and you can determine, even if you have to get to work at 7 o'clock, you're able to control your time in such a way that you can find time that you can rest during the day, after you get home, and even before you leave for work. And it's possible. It's just really checking again. Now, let me not bring in my my management part, my management consulting part of me, but it's really taking yourself back and say, what framework works for me? If I look at my entire day, how can I structure my day in such a way that I have time for myself? I have at least 30 minutes for my personal development. I can read a book or learn a new skill. I can have some time where I'm just mindful, I'm thinking and I'm making decisions because my mind is clear. I don't have distractions around me, and I can actually breathe and know what I'm thinking about. So, regardless of where you are, I think you can actually make decisions that would work for you at any point.
Thank you so much. While you were speaking, someone joined us, another person joined us, Eben by name, Dr. Eben. Good morning. Thank you for joining.
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Good
Good
morning, Mr.
morning,
Rotimi.
Dr.
Good morning,
Femi.
everyone. Good morning, ma.
Yeah, Eben, we can't see your face. Are you in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Think so. Good morning.
All right, fantastic. So we're talking about living intentionally. And I want to still come back to you, Nkiruka. I would like you to help us better understand. Say, for example, People listen to some things that sound a bit motivational or inspirational, and in fact, it's like a lot of people have gotten fatigue of hearing inspiring words. They're tired of it. Some people just say, "Don't just wait. Hope you are not the aspire to perspire." And But then, of course, it's a topic that really affects young and old, entrepreneur, career working professional, and all that. So when we talk about living intentionally, right? Um, how does that affect us in terms of pursuit this time around? Not just desire, in terms of pursuit. We have so many kind of philosophy out there. Sometimes people say, well, what is mine is mine, and anything that is mine will not pass me by. There are times that, but when you look at some of the things that happen to us in life, what is yours. But if you don't reach out, if you don't fight, there are times that we can't just live like waiting for things to happen to us. We sometimes have to happen to things. What's your take on that? How do you share on that?
So again, back to the conversation of being self-aware. Sometimes you're not aware of the opportunities in front of you. We're just in this auto drive mode where I wake up, I go to work, I do my work, I come back. We don't even have time to speak to our colleagues. We have networking opportunities that are around us that we miss out a number of times because we are so connected to the um work life. I want to just go to work, I want to work, do my thing and leave the place. What is mine is mine. We would pray. What God cannot do does not exist, and all of that. But really, what God wants to do for you is to the person by your side or by your left that you haven't spoken to. We also take for granted, really, what kindness means. I've heard a lot of stories, and in my own personal experience, of how just being kind to someone has opened the door of something, or to something that I've always wanted. So in pursuit, really, there's the place of the spirituality. There's a place for the perspire to aspire and all the motivational talks. But there's also a place for us being intentional in terms of reaching out, networking, being kind, staying grateful. And all of these things are part of the component that really just makes your life or living intentional, it makes it worth it, because people know you for this. Oh, I know this guy. Oh, I know Dr. Ben, for example, Dr. Eben, I think, for example.
Yeah.
Um, he's a fantastic guy. He's also an IT guy. So I have an opportunity in IT space. Oh, I think he's the guy to do it because I've reached out. I've spoken to the person. The person knows what skills I'm good at. But a lot of times we stay hidden in our silos, and I'm not really sure how that works for people. So in pursuit, in achieving things, I really think that is us being as whole human beings as we can. The community that we are in, how well do you know the people around you, the opportunities around you, how well have you utilized them? you know these things don't just happen by mere wishing or mere speaking.
Thank you so much. Let's just ask Eben. I'm gonna ask Eben. I know Eben is one person that does a lot of things, and sometimes people ask him, "Which one are you today? Are you an IT person? Are you
Oh,
an
is he
art
is he in
educator?"
is he in IT?
Well, Ben should answer that question because Ben does several things, especially during COVID. I recall a lot of people got to migrate into the digital space because of some of the things that he did. He was up and about, especially for resources. People just discovered Zoom. Then we had a lot of platforms that people did not know. He just went out searching. This guy will spend sometimes 40,000 naira on data in a week.
Wow.
So, Iben, let's hear you out. Because I think there will be something driving someone for you to really say you're intentional. I don't think handling several things and not just for trial by error, but owning them. How does it feel, Iben? How do you do these things?
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Good morning, Ma. I think this topic is a topic I'll first need to sit down. I think it's a learning topic to me also personally because I'm also struggling with one of the things that you mentioned, which is connecting with people and intentionally making sure that you try your best to make use of people around you. I think it's not easy for people to actually do that without understanding the dynamics around it, because I think there's a dynamics around it. And then for Mr. Rotimi, good morning, sir. Your question, I think using myself as case study, I think sometimes when there is problem, people discover. I think one of the major thing is that the storm, when the storm comes, that is when people will need to be thinking about different strategy to be able to protect themselves from the storm. And talking about the storm is not joking at all. The COVID was an example of the storm. And we all know that storm will surely come and storm will surely go. But the process of the storm, what exactly are you doing to be able to protect yourself, to be able to protect your family, to be able to even stay relevant in the system? And also, the storm is even an opportunity for curious ones. I was very curious during COVID that I was scared, although I like technology. Technology is something that I don't joke with at all. And I just discovered that okay, what can I teach my community during this COVID that will make them to be able to continue learning in the learning space? Because that was the problem I actually observed from a lot of people. They don't know what to do. They only know how to use WhatsApp. They know about Google Classroom. They don't know how to use it. They know about Edmodo. They don't know how to use it. Some of them don't know how to differentiate between a classroom and a resources and more. So I decided to now come in, exploring. My major reason for exploring is to be able to stay relevant. And then apart from staying relevant, is also to be able to, let me put it this way, I don't know how to put that one. Sometimes some pursue are for you to be able to also get something at home. And in the process of getting something at home, you are also learning. And the more you learn, the more you know. And then the more you know, the more you actually give out outside there. During this year, I have a goal, and then my goal is to stop one of my topic of interest, which is transformation of the learning environment. And I said, okay, I'm going to try my best for the next 6 months. I'm going to make sure I educate people about not leaving technology, because our people are now they are now stepping back. They don't see the essence of technology again in the classroom because the physical classroom has actually resumed back. And most of them, when you talk about using technology in the classroom, they don't talk about it again. Why? Because everything in the classroom now is not normal. Which I don't seems that they need to be doing that. I think technology should now be part of everything we do in the classroom. We can blend it, we can make it a form of assignment and so many things. So I decided to now come in. I observe one thing they don't know, which is resources. And I define resources as one of the major things that makes a that actually create an effective learning environment. For you to create an effective learning environment, you need to understand the effective classroom management. And then managing your classroom, you have to understand the structural material. They don't understand that editable worksheet can be used to manage your classroom, PDF can be used to manage your classroom. So from there, from the beginning of January, I began to be sending a lot of content. I even call for free training, and that one was even painful. I'm still saying it almost every day. I come for free training twice. Okay, come and learn technology. Technology is good. Canva is there. There is free access to Canva right now. Just submit your certificate, submit your ID card, your school ID card, and more. None of them are actually doing this. But I know that I think for this part of planet Earth, there is a little bit of if there's no problem, most of us don't really come out to pursue so many things. So I think I don't even know how to do it, but I know definitely sure that there are few people that actually go with this idea that when things
Thank you.
come, you don't have to treat it just like, oh, it has come and it has gone. How do you continuously manage that particular subject matter and making sure that anytime it comes again, you will be able to win and win?
Thank you so much. And I really want us to focus on something. I'm bringing the question back to you, Nkiruka. Um, listening to what Eben mentioned. So you see, sometimes there's a gap. You trying to help and you trying to do something, and then maybe the response level or the adoption level is not encouraging. Sometimes not even responsive. Like you said, he's even asking for participation for a free stuff, a free training, I believe. And people did not respond accordingly. That's not charging people. Of course, there's another school of thought that says some people don't value what they don't pay for, right? Um, yes, but now let's bring this back to the individual. And the question is this: in terms of focusing on the outcomes, right? Being intentional. I said something to a friend of mine, and when we were reviewing 2021, just before this year started, we're just having a conversation, and that thing was like a light bulb moment. And oh, how was the year for you? It was good. Naturally, everybody will say yes, it was good and all that. But this was a friend that I didn't need to paint anything. You get, I could share specifics. When I was saying the year was good, I had to be very specific, and I noticed that for each time I stressed on how, oh, I made more money through this, I did this well, I had this slow, I had this going for me well. I noticed that most of the time my major result came as a result of working with someone, working for someone, working through someone, you know. And I noticed that when I did stuff myself, it made sense, it did well. I didn't even have the drive in some cases. So it was just routine income, right? But the routine income could not measure with that income that came from maybe somebody put in a word for me, or someone referred me, or someone said, hey, let's do this project together. And that brought something to my mind. I noticed that a lot of good that we experience, a lot of great that we experience, even in friendship, they are left to happenstance. And if I follow your introductory statement, for us to be self-aware, that's like almost me thinking about it, being able to reflect. Though I wasn't in a quiet place, but I was able to reflect, and I'm like, so what if 2021 I had great moments sparingly? What if I am deliberate about 2022? In other words, I deliberately want to be helped or seek to be helped. I deliberately seek out to help people. What would that year be? Definitely, it looks like it will be a better year in outcomes than the previous year because I'm seeking out. So I want you to help us, tie that together. The outcome, because a lot of people probably just have desires, but they've not been able to interpret their desires into outcomes. I want to be rich. I want to, this year should be great. Those are desires, they are not outcome. But in terms of the outcome, my greatness made me have this, made me do this. Because of that desire, I got this outcome. How do we tie that? Because I felt I needed to be deliberate. And so before the end of the year, I had a retreat with some friends. I've not done that before. Normally, I'll do retreats as an event and then people will pay for it. But this time around, I did retreat with friends. I don't know where I gave up. Well, that was being intentional. Why? Because there are people I would have just naturally had gist with, or we just naturally hang out. But I said, no, guys, come, let's talk together. And in that retreat, I taught them how to go big and how to grow big, because a lot of people don't know how to grow big. They most times have a clue of going big. And I looked at their sectors and took the specifics in their sector and created a roadmap, and some of which we're already working with in the year, and some already have results. And it's also let me not use the word backfire. It's also coming back to me as well as a reward system, because now I'm a beneficiary of some people's growth
Mm.
because they are not now going alone. You get my point? You open my eyes. Guess what? Something's happening. Oh yeah, bro, I'm involving you. Can you please dwell on that for us a bit?
Thank you for that, that question. Um, I think sometimes we forget as individuals that we're not built to be alone. We're not designed to be alone. We're built for community. And the earlier we begin to realize that and accept that truth, I think the better it will be for every one of us. Um, and one of the key words that stuck out for me at the end of last year, moving into 2022, really was collaboration over competition. And that word has helped me define the kind of conversations I need to have, the kind of conversations that would benefit me and my community in such a way that I'm constantly looking out for opportunities, even when I'm not even thinking about it. Now, if you do have a desired outcome, and Eben mentioned this earlier, one of the key things that made him um, um, resourceful during the COVID period was because he had a goal. He wanted to stay relevant. There's a goal. Now, for a lot of people, these goals don't exist. Maybe it can be for lack of hope, or maybe they've had several goals that have not been met. But I always say to people, you cannot keep doing the same thing every time and expect a different result. So if you set a goal before and it did not work, take a retreat, like you said, and re strategize. Look at what worked and look at what did not work. We do not do that. We don't go back to evaluate. So if you're looking at an entire year or a quarter, what worked this quarter? What did not work? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to adjust? That in itself is the intentionality of your life. That in itself is you really sitting down, critically evaluating your life because you have a goal. But when you don't have a goal, then we just leave things to happenstance. Oh, it happened, it didn't happen. Oh, this deal came through, it didn't come through. Once you have a goal, it really pushes you. So your goal is your outcome and you're focusing on that outcome. So every other thing, every other process that comes to play to help you achieve this outcome, I think that you now need to be deliberate about. And being deliberate about it in this context really is understanding the opportunities around you. Now, the retreat that you hosted, for example, it could have been different if you decided to do it the way that you've always done it, i.e., just gist with these people and just say, oh, let's just hang out and let's just talk. But this time it had to be done differently. And when you did it differently, you saw a different result. So I think the truth really lies in our hands. You can get different outcomes from different goals that you set, depending on how you plan it. Never look away from all the opportunities around you, especially with the human resource opportunities that you have around you. No skill set is too small. COVID has taught us that. No skill set. For all of a sudden, we were looking for moderators for events, online
Yeah,
events. It was
absolutely.
never a thing. We would look for MCs, that would do physical events, but we would see people who are not, fantastic in MCing.
My first paid webinar on like that webinar or Zoom was during COVID, right?
Exactly.
Um, yeah, and it made
Exactly.
sense
And
that time.
I
I
we
just it
we
made
got
super
addicted
sense, man.
to what's it called, Clubhouse. Now I moderated a couple of sessions on Clubhouse, and I was wondering where has all these things been. Twitter understood that Clubhouse was taking its audience, and Twitter had to innovate and create the Twitter space now that you have. And this is typically what you had, in Clubhouse. So it's really making adjustments, ensuring that yes, the goal is in front of you, but evaluating every time you can, every week, every quarter, every month, and saying, how can I make this better? How can I improve in this to meet up with my goal? So, again, distractions everywhere. So, even when people have goals, they lose sight of it, and that sets them back a bit. So, definitely, I would say look out for opportunities around you. Don't lose sight of your goals, and as much as possible, always evaluate.
Fantastic, thank you. And I really know that some people are like probably nodding their head where they are and saying it makes sense. But also, it'd be nice for you to touch on what should we avoid if our desire is truly to live intentionally. Are there are there pitfalls to avoid? What are the don'ts, so to speak?
Okay, in order not to sound like a motivational speaker, I would try not to
There's
make it the
nothing wrong being a
don't.
motivational speaker, though.
I'll put it in three major components: your body, your spirit, and your mind. And if I put them in these three components, I'll try, and speak or touch about it. For you to be able to live intentionally, you need to have a healthy body that will carry you through your goal or your purpose. If I ask people, when was the last time you checked your blood pressure? Oh, we don't have any issues in my family. So you don't need to have issues in your family before you know what your blood pressure reading is like. You don't need to have issues in your family before you know what your sugar levels are. When was the last time you had a medical checkup done? Part of the reasons why we're not living intentionally is because even health wise, we don't even know what is going on. And then you see this young lad who's doing well, all of a sudden he has a cardiac arrest or he has a stroke. Because again, life is not really waiting for you to take a chill pill. No, life is moving. And if you're not intentional about your health, you're not going to live out your purpose or your goal as you have planned it. So when was the last time you checked your medical stats? When was the last time you checked your blood pressure? We need to check these things and know these things. So one do that I would encourage people to really, really strive for really is pay attention to your health. Um, the first time I heard this thing, people who are millionaires or billionaires don't sleep for more than 4 hours. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to practice it. It should be good. I wake up and I'm reading, and I realized my blood pressure was going up because I wasn't getting enough sleep. And that's important because we need to create a balance. You need to strike a balance. You need a body to be able to carry out this goal or this purpose. So, as much as you want to strive to achieve your goal or stay relevant, please be healthy while you do that. Even if you have a stroke, when and now the religious people will say, God forbid, even if you have a stroke and you're on your bed, you can't really do much on that bed apart from pray and hope that you get better. So, body wise, medical stats, what are they like? Keep an eye on your cholesterol level, keep an eye on your sugar level, keep an eye on your blood pressure levels. Then, are you exercising? What are you eating? You can't just eat junk and think that you're living intentionally. It's not going to be possible because 5, 10 years down the line, the resultant effect of that habits that you've created will begin to show. So, body wise, you need to be sure that you are eating well, you're exercising well. I'm not asking you to go to a gym to register. If you can, that's fantastic. But if you cannot, walking down your street is enough work for you. Do that at least 10 or 15 times, and you have
What
enough
about
steps to
those of
count it
us
for your
that
body.
have mental gym? We at least we have mental gym in our head.
You don't have any excuse. The way that exercises work, you can target specific muscles of your body. And even if you're at home, you can do any kind of workout that you want, even the comfort of your home. So, really, we don't really have an exercise. Again, it is the deliberate, intentional act of wanting to stay healthy that would keep a person focused on their health goals, for example. So, that's for your body. What are you eating? Do you know your health stats? Keep an eye on that. Don't ignore your health because you're trying to chase your goal. At the end of the day, your body is only a vehicle to take you or to move you from where you are to where you need to go to. But that's for the body part. For the spirit part, a lot of us in this climb are quite religious, and it's amazing that at least we believe in something because that's the only reason why you can be relevant in your goal because you believe that you will achieve your goals. I think. Um, I also like to encourage people, whatever you believe in, ensure that the principles that you believe on are principles that can always give you a glimmer of hope. Ensure that there are principles that you can always hold on to that can give you a glimmer of hope. And as much as possible, take away practices from you that are hinged on anger, jealousy, fights, revenge. Nobody prospers when this kind of vices are thrown at you. Then mentally, I think this is the part where we all struggle because whether or not you like it, things will be thrown at you. I personally will subscribe that once every month or once every quarter, log out from social media and all the things that are going on and just really again take that time to be quiet and to be still and to reevaluate, because we sometimes forget the impact that social media has, or the noise and the distractions that we have. A couple of weeks ago, we heard about the death of a gospel singer or synergy or something, and it was going round and round. And just that period alone, you could tell how the media was portraying marriages, and it was on and on and on. And people started getting afraid. Even people that were in good marriages that did not have problem started getting afraid. So sometimes it is good for you to log out of social media to get your sanity for your mental health sake. There was also a time where there was a rise in suicide in Lagos, and a couple of people, it was a trigger for a couple of people. And that's the reason why, I mean, bloggers have to do their work, fantastic. But I also say part of the rules of blogging should also include that you know the right time to put out certain content. Because at the time that this suicide content were coming out, people who were battling with the depression from coming out of COVID were seeing an alternative to go ahead and do what their minds have been telling them to do. So be careful of what you consume media wise. Don't just go all up consuming everything as much as you can. It will do you no good. And then one practice that I started doing, I think about 2 years ago, is meditating. And meditating can really be on anything, any subject matter. And I realized that the more I meditate about things, I'm able to make better decisions. And how do I start? Is really just asking why. So I want to buy a purse. Why do I want to buy this purse? It takes my mind back to my voice of reasoning. Am I buying it because I need it? Or am I buying it because I want it? What is informing my decision to want or to need this? The one I have before has spoiled. Fantastic. It's not that the one I have before is there, same color, but I just want to buy this new color because it's in vogue. Again, thinking about things rationally and questioning your decisions so that you're able to at least bring out the best decisions when you finally do make them. So body, spirit, and mind, we need to be conscious of how we go into our days, how we go into our weeks, and how we actually execute the things that we want to do. So when I say do or don't, is really being intentional about your body, being intentional about your spirit, being intentional
Yeah.
about your mind, your mental state, what you take in and what you don't take in. And of course, where you find that you cannot go through these things by yourself, we have a community of people. Always reach out. I always say to people, when you reach out to someone and you share an issue and you don't have a solution, you really should look again around about the kind of people you have around you. Because the purpose of community is that you are able to carry less of your issues or less of the loads that you have if you have the right people. So again, you might need to ask yourself, am I around the right people? Am I sitting around the right people? There's none of my friends now that I have that I would say, oh, I'm going through this, that will not throw their weight and say, how can I help? What can I do? How can I alleviate this issue? And it doesn't always mean that they have the money. So it's not always a money conversation. Sometimes it's that I have someone I can open my mouth and, just talk to, speak to, that is not judging me, that is not condemning me, that can listen to me and advise me. Sometimes it's just someone just to listen to me. That's all. That's all. So
Thank
body,
you.
spirit, mind, we need to be intentional about what we do with them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. While you were speaking, Olushola Olumide joined us. Good morning, Olushola Olumide.
Good morning, Rotimi. Eben, Happy New Year 2022, Happy New Year 2021. Then in Kiruka, great submission.
Good
Yes, I
morning.
tell you, it's lovely. I love your perspective. Yes, Rotimi, good morning.
Thank you. And I want to ask you a question, Olushola, because as we journey on in life, the living intentional part, a lot of people think about it from that fear of failure. So sometimes we gravitate towards being intentional about not failing. Now, while that might be like a coping or survival mechanism, it sometimes puts people in a space where they are placing demand on their community, as Nkiruka said. They are placing a huge demand on their community, whereas it might require them to design rather than demand. Designing simply proposes that think about what you need to function and survive in life, and gravitate towards an economy or a community around that. So if Olushola, for example, is a billionaire and Nkiruka is a mental health professional, right? It will be better to gravitate towards having Nkiruka as my friend to complete my cycle of possible need, rather than placing demand on Olushola as a mental health expert, or better still, placing demand on a mental health expert like Nkiruka with a billionaire demand, and then we start thinking our friendships don't work for us. I think sometimes it might be an architecture where we look at the life outcome we want to have and being intentional about it. Well, how do we do that ethically? Because that's the extreme of it is a gold digger philosophy. We are meant to lighten our burden, not outsource our burden. So how do you address that, Olushola Olumide? We are talking about living intentionally. Please touch on that as well.
Thank you very much, Rotimi. And like I said earlier on, that Nkuruka has really done justice when I came in, and I know she said something before that. Now, I think until we realize that being in an environment or being a community, you first of all think on what you give, not what you take. There is this parasitic mentality. It will shock you in this part of the world. People make demand on you because they assume you have. Somebody wanted to move a scenario around me happened. Somebody wanted to move tiles to the site. I think he has a RAV4, and which I think could be okay to carry the thing. But because he felt there's another neighbor who has a Tacoma with open back, and the one with Tacoma appeared to be a big man, is a rich man, and they are not as rich as that man. So they went to go and look for Tacoma. And I was thinking in my mind, you have a car at home. And when the issue came up, we said the people who are used to that, even when you go out together, you are going to a place, they will leave their own car, they won't carry it, they come and enter the car of this other person. Then some people started complaining, you have a car. Why are you changing those of us that doesn't have cars at all? We could have joined this family to move. You can carry your car, but you will leave your car at home. Come and show the space of those who doesn't have. Once people have this perception that you have, until they see that they have milked you dry. And also, it is being intentional. It's not wicked. At times, when we don't allow people to take responsibility, we are not helping them, we are indulging them. Yes. It doesn't mean the person will not. That's why you tell somebody, oh, how are you? I was in a meeting yesterday, and I was saying, you young people, I've been running after you, come for this, come for that, this and that. I will be the one checking up on you. You will not even give me feedback, but all that has changed now. If you knock at my door for therapy now, first of all, give me my account to go and drop 150,000 naira there. Now, what I'm saying is this. We shouldn't have entitlement mentality. We shouldn't become parasitic. The people we are leveraging on, do we care to find out if they have issues too? And you and I, we are not going to be the savior of the world. You won't solve every problem. And until you realize that, and at times, because we are also afraid of emotional blackmail, and you'd feel, if I don't assist, if I don't help, they are knocking at my door. And I have seen this cause issue between husband and wife. People come to seek the help of the husband, and the wife is saying, you've been busy on it. Rest, let these people go. Tell them you get back to them again. But because I want to prove, or you want to prove that, see, these people, they are in need. However, your wife that is also talking is also in need anyway. But I've trivialized my wife because it's in house. I can always calm her down or whatever. I can, show my rough clothes to her. She will bear with me. But I don't want outsider to feel I am not living to their own expectation, not my expectation. I always want to be there for people, but forgetting to be there for myself. So I will say, if anybody comes to you for a particular help, first of all, engage the person and ask, what have you put in place? Let me know where to come in and assist you. So when we have it that way, people also are mindful. You say you want to buy a plot of land. How much is it? The plot of land is 2.5 million. I have been able to raise 1.5, and I don't want the land to go away from me. I need 1 million. That person has provided 60% of the task. Not that somebody will come and tell you that he needs a plot of land and say, how much is it? 2.5. How much have you gathered? They say, I've not gathered anything. Then that land is not meant for him. If you give him money to buy the land, you are indulging him, you are not helping him. There is a saying in Yoruba. It is the owner of the load that will carry the load from the heavier part before the rest of us will now lend hand to help carry the load. You can't leave your load and tell people to carry it for you. By the way, I am the major stakeholder in the project of my life. You are the major stakeholder in the project of your life. You don't outsource your life to people. Do something about yourself. Let people notice that, oh, you have tried. Have you discovered, Rotimi, that even God will not do everything? He can do everything. And I've told people that the role of divinity in humanity is intervention. God never take away our life from us. He never hijacks our life from us. You have to play your part. Then God sees that you are at your wit end. He intervenes. Or else we will be breeding irresponsible folks. They will always rush. When are they going to learn to do things themselves? And at times you could give them the process or principle it requires to go and get it done. You go do it, fail, and come back. Failure, it is good to fail. We learn in the process. But somebody keeps running away from failure. The people you are going to help you, do you know how many times they have failed before they attain mastery? You have to carry your cross. So until you carry your cross, you won't realize how weighty it is on the people. You know, I keep telling people, the day your teeth bites your tongue, it is that day you will realize how weighty your teeth is on the food you are chewing. It will go smoothly. The food will not cry, but the day you bite your tongue, it is then you will know the pressure of your teeth on the food you are chewing. So if you really want to help people, and that entitlement mentality has left us where we are. The Western climate we are talking about, everybody is paying the price. Yes, you have to pay your price. You don't come and tell me, a friend was telling me, I pay about £600 for house rent, and in the UK, you know, one of the worst things that can happen to you is to come and be telling your landlord, sorry, I didn't have money. You didn't have money. Is it compulsory you live in a house? Can't you live on the road? But in Nigeria, if a landlord comes now and say, the man is merciless, with all the crying, all that is sentiment. If we don't do things that way, things will not move. Somebody is working with you. Rotimi is my bigger cousin. You are coming to office by 9:30 when your mate are there 7:30. If you don't tell that young man to not come to your office again, you have sacked him. Others will not learn. Let them call a family meeting and say, sorry, after all, it's your brother. But if you ruin this company, where will I go? So until we get to that point, not that people say he's wicked, he's not compassionate. Something happened in my office, I think last year, you know, some of those security oddly here and there, I just see them, I greet and I give them money. One of them, I gave him money one afternoon. It was 100 naira. He looked at me and said, Pastor, 100 naira is too small. I said, I'm very sorry, my brother. Can you please give me the money back? He said, okay, no problem. For months, he will come, I'll give other money, I won't give you money. You are collecting your salary, I'm just being magnanimous. I'm not under any compulsion. If you are not happy with the 100 naira I gave you, are you supposed to say that to my face? When I didn't buy anything from you? Until 2 weeks ago, when he came to meet me, I said, he's very sorry. I think he realized, we'll greet, we'll play another. The only thing is that my one kobo will not enter his hand. So he came and apologized for what he did. I said, sorry, who does that? You didn't keep money with me. I just went out of my way. Even if I give you 1 naira, are you supposed to tell me it's small? And do you know how many people, overtly or covertly, are telling us that? You are not the one that created them, by the way. They are not living for you. They are living for themselves. Oh, yes, it is good to help. It is good to give. But you don't tell your benefactor he's not doing enough. By the way, why are you not a benefactor yourself? So until we get to that point, things will not move. And it is good to be blunt with employee, with employer, with family member, with relation. Listen to me, Rotimi. I have my older sibling. Omo ìyá mi, omo bàbá mi ni. He gave me money. He told me I didn't dash you. I loan you. You pay me back my money. See, until we get to that point, we'll keep indulging people. We'll keep babysitting them all their life. And I tell you, they'll become weaklings. They won't use their mind. They won't use their brain. They won't step out because there is always a comfort zone somewhere where they can hide it. They can come and hibernate under your agbada. Leave them in the cold. Let them suffer the cold. They will know where to go and buy clothes and sew, get a blanket for themselves. For how long? If you are going to be intentional, we are the major stakeholder in the project of our life. Let's face our life headlong. When we get to our wit end, we call for help. And we don't expect people coming to help us to do more in our life than we who owns the life. Things are not going to work that way. So if you are going to be intentional with everything about your life, step out there. Let somebody, even God must see you doing something before God intervenes and say, yes, this my daughter, this my son. I can see his labor. I can see his effort. I can see his suffering. I can see all he has done. However, I need to come in. He has given us the promise. He's told us to go back and pray so that I can do it for you. I think we should copy God. Thank you very much.
Well done, well done.
I need to add something to what Olushola had said, and I'm happy that he landed on that note because this is our problem as a people. We are too religious without responsibility, and I always say, any faith that makes God solely responsible is an irresponsible faith, because you have decisions, you have a responsibility to making these things work. And that's the reason why our churches are full, but our communities are poor, because people keep on, God will do it, God will do it, God will do it. But what are you doing? Nothing. Any faith that makes God solely responsible is an irresponsible faith. Just wanted to add that part because Shola had mentioned it.
I like that. And the last part of it is we need to learn how to copy God, because that's the model actually. The model for me. I think that yeah, there's a lot you said, but just in few words, we can actually deconstruct them and find so many value and value principle, value and all that. I hope everyone has heard, I hope everyone has heard this, and it's just for us to go out there and become intentional. That's just it. And being intentional really is not a conditioning that comes from outside in. It's a condition that must be inside out. It means that you must actually enumerate your intentions. If you look at the word intentional, a part of it is called intention. It means the process of making true and making to happen the intentions that you have. So it's not that you are being manipulated or you are being controlled by proxy. It means that you are having a great deal of your life on your terms. Having life on your terms is a proof of you being intentional. We're not asking you to be wicked or cruel. We're just saying that don't forget yourself, in the process. And be careful that people do not spitefully just use you. And yeah, protect yourself from users. That's very important. Thank you so much, Olushola Olumide, for stopping by. Thank you, Eben, for dropping by. And of course, our guest all the way from the United Kingdom in Kirukakeri. Thank you for joining at short notice. And we'll be here tomorrow for another exciting time on the Good Morning Education Show. We didn't even know when we passed the hour of 9. We're just talking now. We're 4 minutes over our time. So thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you
And
so
I would
much.
like to say this. I know this is your first time on the show, so there's a way we end the show. We have a saying when we want to end the show. We say it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. So I'd like you to say it first. Let's hear you say it.
Okay, it's always a good morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
No, it's a great morning. All right. So
Oh,
we're going to
it's
say
always a
together.
great morning.
Yes. So we're going to say it together at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. It's
It's
always
always a great
a great
morning
morning
on
on
the Good Morning Education Show.
Education Show. Bye, everyone.